If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting. Hi, everybody. This is Mike Riley with Brook with a emergency meeting. Brook, we have to have our meeting after that Ravens debacle. How you holding up? Are you going to do the lead on this one?
I'm good. I mean, my expectations coming this season were low.
Okay.
So I got to ask, were you okay?
Well, I'm going from encouraged to discouraged.
Okay.
And I'm seeing the road ahead for the next couple of weeks.
Packers Lions.
You know what? I'm not discouraged about that. I'm just discouraged because I think we're going to be running into one of Stefanski's weak points is he just stays with these quarterbacks too long. I mean, starting with Baker, when Baker got hurt, and it was clear that Baker was just regressing week after week after week after week. He wanted to get out there. He had a bad shoulder. He had the OBJ fiasco, which Stefanski did nothing to support his quarterback. And just basically, I don't know, when he go up to his room and throw the covers over his head, didn't want to deal with it. Said this, you know. And of course, Baker just got worse. And finally, the doctor said Baker can't play. And then that, I think it was that Thursday night game against Denver, he had to start Case Keenum. And all of a sudden, the Browns are moving. All of a sudden, the Browns are playing well. So it kind of begged the question, well, how come it took a couple of weeks for Stefanski to sit Baker down? And then, of course, we had last year's debacle with Deshaun Watson, who clearly, in that Dallas game against a woeful Dallas defense, just absolutely looked terrible. And week after week after week, Watson looked worse and worse and worse. And Stefanski just came out there and said he gives us the best chance to win, like he said about Baker. And that's what's going to happen with Joe Flacco. It's going to be week after week after week. I think Stefanski, when it comes to quarterbacks, he's got the deer in the headlights. Look, he just can't pull the trigger. Now, listen, I'm not trying to overreact, but what I saw with Joe Flacco in the Ravens game was nothing like we saw in 23. Nothing. I mean, he looked extremely slow. Statue, standing back there. Yeah, I know, running game. I mean, the Ravens knew how to play Joe Flacco. They took away the dump-offs, passes that he was getting away with the Bengals, and they just blitzed the hell out of him. He wasn't mobile. He's not going to get outside the pocket. He goes, I lost count of how many throws he just threw it away.
Yeah.
So I love Joe Flacco. I mean, he's a great guy. Cleveland loves Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco, there's a reason why Indy let Joe Flacco go. I think he's really regressed in 2 years. So I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I think that I would imagine that the Browns, I'm hoping, have a plan with what they envision, how the quarterbacks are going to not pan out, but how they're structuring when to hand the car keys over to Dylan Gabriel. I don't think you would draft two young rookies in the draft if you didn't have some sort of plan, but I think Flacco will play against the Packers. I think they're just going to take it one game at a time. And if they continue to see him play as bad as he did on Sunday, then there's no point in not giving one of these young guys a shot.
Well, certainly Dylan Gabriel, who I think is, the exhibitions, he was clearly the better of the two over Shedeur. Shedeur demonstrated against, the third string of LA Rams. He showed why he got picked in the 5th round. Then, of course, they had Ty.
You talking about Sanders?
Shedeur Sanders, yeah.
Shedeur was 5th. Dylan was 3rd.
3rd, yeah. Shedeur. Yeah, against the LA Rams. Shedeur looked terrible.
I listened to because I was driving over here from a job site, and I was listening to the Browns radio network, which is super biased.
Yeah, right.
The guy who's writing the check is Jimmy Haslam. But every now and then, they'll get somewhat real. In the past 9 games, how many turnovers has the Browns offense? How many do you think?
27?
26.
Okay.
26 turnovers.
I know, it was over 2 a game.
I think the defense is good.
So do I.
I think the D-line, I saw one play, Mason Graham just blew up that line, stuffed Derrick Henry, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I think Schlesinger is going to be good. I think Myles Garrett is on a next level. I mean, he is the best. He's the best player in the league.
Yeah.
You didn't have Denzel. And up until and special teams, I don't know who this special teams coach is.
Bubba, I thought that was an upgrade a couple years ago.
I mean, it's just like,
yeah.
So I think the defense is going to be good. All the talk on radio today, no surprises. Hey, we love Joe, but Joe's old.
Yeah.
Dylan,
what do we got to lose?
Yeah, no.
After that Raven, I was totally 100% for Joe Flacco starting. Yeah, I just thought we would get some competency at quarterback. That's all I'm looking for. I mean, if we run the ball, if Joe's got, I think we've Fannin to throw to. I tell you one thing, they have, here's another Stefanski flaw. You got to sit down, Judy. He keeps dropping the ball. You got to sit his ass down. I mean, we got players who are on the bench watching this. Why is he starting why is he getting starts if he's just dropping the ball? You drop the ball, you sit down. But again, nobody ever is held accountable in this regime. I remember when we had that fiasco with that defensive end. Forget his name.
Clowney?
Clowney's not going to play. I don't want to play. Nothing happens when these guys, OBJ, nothing happens when these guys fail to produce. It's just a lot of, and now what is so discouraging is we're going to be listening to, I don't know, Fox News of Cleveland Browns. It's just going to, with Stefanski, it's just going to be, yeah, it's all good. Yeah, no, I got to coach better. I got to coach better. I'll tell you one thing. He better visualize Flacco as an anvil tied to a noose with him putting that around his neck. Because if he can't take decisive head coach action a la Bill Parcells, a la Sean Payton, he's now part of the problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
The other thing I take away from that game is I don't have a lot of questions for about Stefanski, but if at the end of the season they're 4-13 and Jimmy's like,
he's got to go.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't have
he's got to go
with that.
And you know what? It's not like this team is in rebuilding mode. They're tearing it down. They've got Miles. Okay, let's move to Dylan Gabriel. Here's the big question. Dylan Gabriel, is he a CJ Stroud or is he a Bryce Young?
Well, he's neither. He's a 3rd-round pick.
Okay. I thought it
pressure. There is no expectation.
Okay. So let's say we're looking at Dylan Gabriel and we're saying, you know what? We need a Brock Purdy back there.
He's the right comp.
Right. That's what we need. We need a guy who can, if he needs to get out of the pocket, he could run.
He's accurate. He seems tough. He's on the smaller side.
He's seasoned.
Yeah. I mean, every analyst said if Dylan Gabriel were 6'3", he would be the consensus.
Number one.
Yeah. The fact that he's 5'11",
Well, here's the thing. You can't run Stefanski's offense with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, you need to move.
You need to have a bootleg rollouts. I mean, Joe Flacco did a couple of rollouts that look like me. And I'm 72.
That's what Baker did.
Yeah.
When Baker had his best year, last year was his best year, but his best year with Stefanski was he slimmed down. He was moving around.
Yeah. He was getting the ball out.
But Joe, I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but he looked like he was 41 years old.
No, he looked like he was 61.
I mean, I felt really bad. And on top of that, he went back to the team that replaced him.
Yeah.
So a part of me is like, I felt really bad.
Oh, I felt, you know what? I love Joe Flacco.
Suns were in the stand. Yeah, they were giving out and screw the Ravens.
I know.
For holding that bullshit 30-year anniversary on the day that we played them.
Yeah.
And the league was like, oh, it was all a coincidence. It's like, yeah, okay, shit.
Yeah, well, the league, they don't give a shit. In fact, I remember when
Ray Lewis dancing on the sidelines.
Hey, Brook, you were 6 years old when that went down with the Browns. I gave money to the Browns backer group that bought a billboard outside of Art Modell's Palm Beach house that says, Art Modell sucks. That was the billboard. I kicked in money.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
being a lot like, if that were to happen to me now, I mean, because the Browns are like, they're like the Packers. They're like the Cowboys. They're like the Giants.
It's like Pittsburgh. They're the Eagles.
When people think of the Browns, it's Cleveland.
Right, exactly. And the league didn't care in 95. But lo and behold, Mike White, mayor of Cleveland, Fred Nance, lawyer, partner at Squire Sanders, who, by the way, was in my class at Ignatius, class of 71, and it was a good friend of mine. I haven't seen him in a long time. But they got together, and all of a sudden, Browns backers worldwide, we're not talking national, we're talking worldwide, started sending in money. They had organizations. They bombed every office, every NFL office back in the day when they had fax machines. They couldn't get anything done because their faxes were getting gummed up by Browns faxers. Bring back the Browns, bring back the Browns. And then Al Lerner, who orchestrated that, very quickly realized now he was as bad as Modell. So he brought the Browns back. And then, of course, that just began this nightmare run when Al Lerner decided, I'm going to hire the best of the best. So I'm going to go out and get Carmen Policy and Dwight Clark from the 49ers. The 49ers were the gold standards. Excuse me, Al Lerner, but it was Bill Walsh who is the 49ers. Carmen Policy was the illegitimate son and illegitimate half-brother of Eddie DeBartolo Jr. You look at those two guys, because Ed DeBartolo Sr. was banging his secretary, who happened to be Carmen Policy's mom, okay? So, and Dwight Clark, the famous catch against the Cowboys, Dwight Clark was a GM. He was an idiot. The Browns have been suffering through not only ownership problems. I mean, Al Lerner had a hands-off. And this is the guy who had a great credit card, his fortune. They had a great operation. And he just hired these people, let them go, hands off, and these people were competent. And then his son, I guess, took over, and he was more busy running his soccer team in England. And then you get Jimmy Haslam. I mean, it's like when we got Stefanski and Andrew Barry, it was after the Hugh Jackson fiasco, the Ray Farmer, the Mike Patton, just the endless, and
Pat Shurmur.
After all the endless dysfunctions, now we're at a point where we have a good team. There are good players on this team. People were saying, that O-line is old. That O-line is old. Guess what, folks? When you have Joe Flacco at quarterback and you're doing dink and dunks, you're not going to be able to run the ball. Okay? Period. When you got a statue back there who's 61 years old, guess what? You blitz, that guy can't dodge that red dog secondary streaking in. Mm-hmm. So tell me after that fiasco, I'm not hitting the panic button, folks. I'm doing what I did with Baker when he was hurt, when he was mentally tired. He should be sitting down. We've hit rock bottom with the Ravens game. Rock bottom with that game on offense. And I'm sorry for the defense because that first half,
they were down by 7.
Yeah, they were rolling. So look at the difference that CJ Stroud did with the Texans.
Yeah.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Look the difference with the Commanders quarterback.
Yeah, it doesn't take 5 years to rebuild. It just takes the right.
Bo Nix with Denver. Denver went from the worst team to the playoffs with Bo Nix. Now, Gabriel looks like a great find. Flacco is over the hill. And if we have a repetition of what happened with the Ravens game the first half at home with the Packers, where they can't move the ball and they're dinking and dunking, and they don't pull Flacco at halftime and bring in Gabriel, I feel sorry for Joe. I really do. Because he's like a stallion, like a great racehorse.
Yeah, his role should be to help mentor.
Exactly.
Well, I feel very confident that at some point, however soon it is, that they're going to give the keys.
I just hope it's not going to be after we're 0-6. Really? Now you're going to do it? And then I got to listen to, after every debacle, I got to listen once again for the third year with bad quarterbacking. I got to listen to Stefanski say, we just got to coach better. He gives us the best chance to win. Because I'm thinking in my head, like a lot of Browns fan, you know what? I could coach this team. Really? I could coach this team. Judy, sit down.
Yeah.
Okay? So,
yeah.
And you know, the other thing I couldn't understand with them in the box, crowd in the box, how come we didn't throw long? Not one time. Remember when Joe was bombing with Amari Cooper?
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back.
Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message. And guess what? We'll call you back.
Well, a lot of what I read last night from the analytics side was the wide receivers we have. They can't separate.
Pass interference, right? A guy slips. There's a million things that go. But if you're 3rd and 8 and you throw a 4-yard out in the flat, what's the difference? At least with a bomb, okay, fine. They intercepted and it's as good as a punt. Could have an interference. Who knows? The guy could slip, like I said, stretch the defense, get them on their toes a little bit, maybe open up some lanes to run. You know, I was thinking about this at the end of the game. You know who I'd love to see in the backfield picking up that blitz?
Oh, that big guy.
Aiden Huntington.
Yeah.
And he used to play fullback. Could you imagine getting him out in the flat? We're not talking Dylan Sampson. We're talking
Fridge.
6'6", 290, runs a 4.7.
It was like a Myles Garrett on off.
No, that's Derrick Henry's bigger brother up there. I mean, really, we're not talking Fridge. We're talking runaway locomotive. What do we have to lose, right?
Well, to Gabriel.
Give it to Gabriel.
He's got some moxie. Hey, at least we're not the Bears.
Oof. The Bears.
Imagine what their talk radio is right now.
Oh, my God. Caleb Williams.
Ben Johnson.
Bryce Young. I mean, some of these quarterbacks, really.
Well, I knew it was bad because I was listening to Bill Simmons and because, you know, the Sunday night shows him and Cousin Sal. You know, it's bad with the Browns when Bill's like, Browns, Ravens, we don't need to talk about it. Next game, I was like,
Thank you. Yeah. Although, you know what I have to say, I'm teeing up a money line pick. I did well on my bets. I took on the parlay Arizona and Dallas, so I won on that. And I had 50 on a money line for the Browns beating the Ravens, which would have paid off like $300. So I figured I might do another money line pick. Who knows? Browns at home, Packers, great D. Hey, we're overdue for a tip ball, interception, run for TV, right?
I think it's 8.5.
Yeah. At home.
That's and talk about a trap game for the Packers.
Yeah.
They're probably like Browns.
Browns, yeah. Joe Flacco, right. Yeah.
Never know.
You never know. You never know. But, it's interesting going through the wreckage of the NFL. I kind of knew the KC Chiefs would start slow. I mean, they were just pulling rabbits out of their hat last year with some of these wins. And they've got some issues. I mean, Dallas, Russ Wilson, 400 yards.
Yeah, that was a game.
What else stood out with you before we wrap this up? NFL.
Well, a team I've always loved that I could see, I don't know if it was a mirage or not, but the Chargers.
Harbaugh.
Chargers look, now the Chiefs are getting boring. But if the Chargers keep playing the way that they did against the Chiefs,
yeah,
they could be sneaky. And
Chargers are on the road. I think they play the Titans. I was kind of looking at that game as one of my picks,
and Jacksonville lost. It's good for us.
And guess who's hurt?
Joe Burrow.
Travis Hunter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Joe Burrow's out for 3 months.
I feel sorry for Joe Burrow. With that, he's just getting beat up.
I would kill for Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Behind
from Athens, Ohio.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow.
OU.
But no, the Chargers stood out. The Packers, I think, are legit. I listened to another podcast. This guy's just, a diehard Bears fan, and he's just like,
oh, I got it. Bears.
And Dan Campbell running it up the scoreboard.
Oh my God.
I love Dan Campbell. That's another, we could have had him.
Yeah.
He could have been our coach.
Yeah.
He would have been perfect. He's perfect. He's the perfect coach for either the Lions or the Browns.
Well, look what we did with Jared Goff. Talk about a reclamation project.
Yeah.
Although I got to tell you, the Lions didn't look too good.
And Dan Campbell, well, week 1 in Green Bay.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
New offensive coordinator. I was kind of like, I'm kind of going to let this week 1 just kind of, there's a lot of moving parts, but Dan Campbell's another example. He wasn't an OC, wasn't a DC, wasn't even a special teams guy. He was a tight ends coach.
Well,
Sean Payton.
Yeah. Getting back to the Browns, for those of a certain age, I remember in 68, probably said this on past podcast, 1968, sophomore year at Ignatius. And Browns started out, they were 1-2. Frank Ryan was their quarterback. And the expansion team at the time, which was the Atlanta Falcons, they beat them on the road, and then they lost to the Cowboys. It was comfortable win for the Cowboys at home in Cleveland. And then the Rams came in, the LA Rams, with the fearsome foursome. And those of a certain age would remember Merlin Olsen. They had 3 Hall of Famers on their D-line. Carl Eller, Alan Page, and Frank Ryan was the quarterback, and the Browns just got annihilated. They didn't even cross halftime. Cross midfield until halftime when they went into the locker room. It was just a beatdown. And Bland Collier, who was the coach, Monday said, we're starting Bill Nelson. Frank Ryan just looked like Baker looked against Detroit in that home game in the rain. Didn't come out with the news. And Frank Ryan, who was the hero of the 64 championship game, threw 3 touchdown passes to Gary Collins. He was out. Bill Nelson comes in, and all of a sudden, the Browns win 9 out of the next 10 games. They lost a close one to, I think it was the Cardinals. I'll never forget that, because that Sunday, Nelson's first game. In fact, you guys can go on YouTube, look up Browns versus Colts in Baltimore. Speaking of the Ravens, in Baltimore on YouTube. 68 was like one of the games of the week. And the Browns came in and they solid win over the then mighty Colts. And Nelson they had Paul Warfield, was a Hall of Famer. Nelson to Warfield. They had Milt Morin, who was a great tight end. Gary Collins. They had Leroy Kelly, another Hall of Famer. Gene Hickerson at guard. Shaffer. I think they had players. That just shows you a CJ Stroud, a Bill Nelson in 68. What happens when you get a quarter? It affects everything across the board. If you have a good quarterback, a winner, Brian Sipe, when Sipe came in.
Yeah, he makes up for a lot of mistakes.
All of a sudden, it's just winning is contagious.
And that's why you need to see either guy soon.
Yeah.
Because you cannot go into this next draft with 2 number ones and not know.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this for a couple months now. The dream scenario is Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders turns out to be the guy.
Right.
And you got 2 number ones.
Right. And then you parlay that with start beefing up the O-line.
Yeah.
Secondary.
Yeah.
Then you get Andrew Berry working with Stefanski. And then you get what they're really good at. I mean, they freaking nailed that draft. I mean, Judkins this guy, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
With Judkins as kind of a Nick Chubb type runner. Fannin.
Well, he looks like a Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
He runs. I love it. He runs violent.
Yeah.
You see him stiff arm guy.
Yeah.
He is beefy.
Yeah. No. And Mason Graham and Carson Schlesinger having a great, No, I think Stefanski's got to get out of his own way. He's overanalyzing. I mean, look at the conventional wisdom is, we go through this stretch. We got Joe there. We know what we got. We're going to lose anyways, right?
Yeah.
The conventional wisdom needs to get thrown out the window. It's not like we're throwing Dylan Gabriel, with an expansion O-line. We've got players. In fact, I'd love to see some of these other wide receivers out there. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll pick it up next Monday. I'm going to do my money line on the Packers, and we'll see what happens. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.